Well, Lagunitas, the brewery, I founded it back in 1993, originally on the stove in my kitchen, soon to be evicted from those premises by my wife, and quickly moved into a little building down the street in the town of Forest Knolls. But the name Lagunitas was already on all the license material, so I thought I'm going to just keep that name no matter where the brewery ends up, for two reasons. It's a beautiful little word. It's hard to say. Once you said it, you're in, and it looks lovely in type. And so we kept that name. Moved to Forest Knolls. We were there for all of about 8 months before one day a septic system looked up through the floor and told us to leave. And when the septic system talks to you through the main drain in the brewery, you listen. And the county asked us to move. And I just thought hard. I lived out in Lagunitas at the time. I thought hard about where I wanted to drive to if I was going to have to be commuting, because I also had another job still. For the first 5 years of the brewery, I worked my other job while I continued to get it. The brewery had some 20 employees before I went on payroll. And so I thought about what the best imaginable drive would be, and that would be the back roads from West Marin into Petaluma. And I drove there and started looking for lease signs, and we finally found a building up here in the northeast corner of town, and we've been here ever since. Unlike a lot of breweries in the country, maybe almost every brewery in the country except the very smallest, I design all the labels myself. I write all the copy myself, and up until just recently, wrote the recipes from scratch. These days I art direct the recipes, which is a lot more fun. It's all an expression of my own personal aesthetic. And I don't really even know what my aesthetic is, but I work very hard to try to get those things onto the label so that people can sense the personality in it. I work very hard to get personality into the recipes, not to emulate styles that have gone before us. I'd like to think that none of our beers are today's version of yesterday's anything. We're always just trying to find new material within those four ingredients: malt, hops, yeast, and water, that make up beer. And I think that independence of thought and independence of spirit kind of shows up in the brand. So the brand has gone from that zero on day one to this year we expect sales to be just around 40 million total. Most all of that is just wholesale beer going out the door. We've gone from just selling beer along Highway 1 in West Marin. Originally, all I did was in order to make a little stable base for the business, we did private label beers for the Stinson Beach Grill and the Sand Dollar Cafe and the Alima Farmhouse, and they all put their names on it. So that stretch of road was our original market, and today we're in 35 states. 4 trucks a week leave for Manhattan. So it's pretty. If you were to look at Highway 80 going across the country, there's literally a pipeline of Lagunitas beer being transported at all times. There's 5 trucks a week go to Chicago. Similar things like that, markets all around and in between. Boy, we're in growth mode. Last year we grew at a little over 40-some%. This year, so far year to date, our growth, which has been accelerating through the course of the year, right now we're at about 67% year over year, year to date business. And so it's quite a struggle, because what that means is that from day to day there's almost no such thing as a standard operating procedure. And every day if you come to work, if you look carefully around at the plant that you're operating, there's something new that's being installed at every point. And you go along with these incremental expansions by adding a tank or buying more kegs or adding an additional sanitizing a line or a cleaning in place line. But we get to these places where you have to take these large stair steps up. And the last time we did that was in moving into this building in 1998. And as we speak, we're doing that right now. It's an expansion that began being a $9.5 million expansion that began really in January. And we've realized as time has gone by, even the first half of the year, what is possible for the business to grow into is changing. And that $9.5 million expansion is rapidly becoming a $14 million expansion over the course of 18 months. So it's just, you're making decisions on the back of a galloping horse without quite enough information to know exactly what your next step has to be. This brew house that we'll be installing is the major element. The brew house is the ultimate throttle on capacity of the brewery. You can do 8 brews a day, and depending on how large that brew is, that's how much beer you can make. Budweiser, I don't think, does more than 8 brews a day. So that's there's some physical limitations there. The new brew house would allow us to get all the way from where we're at right now at about 160,000 barrels of annual production, allow us to get to 600,000 barrels of production. And we're leaving our existing brew house in place, which will provide another 200,000 barrels of future capacity. So the breweries are, kind of approaching that 1 million barrel neighborhood as far as ultimate productive capacity. So scary times, stepping up so far in latent capacity, but we feel like we're going to grow into it in a kind of real orderly way over the next few years.